My name is Axel Rimbaud. I'm a French engineer. 5 years ago, I created MEL, which is a road safety NGO in Chile, and I just completed the EIT Urban Mobility Master Program on sustainable urban mobility transitions. Road safety has a massive impact on the society today. Each year, 1.3 million people die on the roads, and between 30 to 50 million people get injured. It's the first cause of death for children, teenagers, and young adults, and it has an impact on the entire society, being the 8th cause of death globally. Our understanding and the research on road safety has been evolving since the beginning of the 20th century. At the beginning, it was believed that road crashes were only due to bad luck, so it's why they call accidents. Then throughout the year, the blames have been going to the users, and today we see it as more as a systematic approach to road safety, where we need to make the system safe, where all the parts of the system are protecting the users. So today, in order to reduce fatalities on the road, one of the best practices is what we call the safe system approach. This is a concept which has been developed in the 90s in the Netherlands and in Sweden. And basically, this is a proactive and human-centered approach, which has 4 principles. So first, the user makes mistakes. Second point is humans will get harmed if they are exposed to crashes or strong change of energy or forces. Then there's a shared responsibility between the road users, but also the people who design, build and maintain the system. And then in order for users to stay safe in all situations, all the parts of the system should be strengthened. That way, if one part fails, the users stay protected. So in order to have a safe system, one important part is to have a clear and understandable hierarchy of the streets. So each street should have one purpose, and this purpose should be clear for the user. So this is a concept we can change between countries which have different history and cities. But basically, the number of type of streets should be limited, but it's easy to understand and it's self-explanatory for the users. One of the main type of road is what we call the through roads, and the purpose of those roads are flow, so it's to move a lot of motorized vehicles at high speed on long distances. So it's typically highway, or in the case of urban cities, ring road, for instance. So on those roads, the lanes are on one direction, they are protected, there's not many conflicts possible, and higher speed are possible. For through roads, when we can have front-side crashes, so 2 vehicles going into each other, the speed limit should be 70, because this is where people will survive that type of crash. So exchange pathway or connection streets are the type of streets which are distributing the traffic, so through the city or through an area. And basically in those streets, there's more possible conflict between road users, and also change of maneuvers needs to be accounted for, and also pedestrian crossings. Because there's a lot of interaction, a lot of intersections, the speed limit should be 50, because this is a safe speed or people will survive if there's a lateral crash between cars or motorized vehicles. So this is what can usually happen at the red light, for instance. Access street or local access street are streets where people go to do some activities or reach some places. And in those streets, there's a higher proportion of cyclists and pedestrians, and this needs to be taken into account. For access streets, because there's a lot of pedestrians and cyclists, the speed limit should never be above 30 km per hour, because above this speed, a crash between a motorized vehicle and a pedestrian or a cyclist will be fatal. Here in Barcelona, there's a 4th type of street, which is called the green axis, where there's a network of pedestrian streets throughout the city, that way people can walk from one part of the city to the other without sharing their space with cars and the emissions from motorized vehicles. In the specific case of the green axis here in Barcelona, the speed limit is around 10 km per hour, because pedestrians are priority. Cars can still come for deliveries, for local access, for people with reduced mobility, but they should give way to pedestrians. So in order to make sure drivers respect the safe speed, putting a speed sign is not enough. One of the most efficient way, and probably the best way, is to create a good design of the street. So the design of the street should be made in order to encourage, make sure we know what kind of speed is expected, and to comply to it. So here in Barcelona, we have a few examples of good, well-designed streets. So for instance, here in the green axis, to make sure drivers will comply to the speed and give way to pedestrians, there's a lot of trees and also there's obstacles in the middle of the road. That way pedestrians can go through, but it's a bit harder for drivers who need to navigate and be aware that they need to reduce their speed. To make sure people understand and drivers understand that they are in a pedestrian area, when they enter the area, they have to go up onto the street, and this street is at the same level. So it's like we are on the pavement, and car driver understand it as soon as they enter the space. It's not possible for motorized vehicles to go through from one street to the other. They have to exit. And basically this makes sure they only use the street for local access and not to go and cross the neighborhood. For access road, to make sure drivers respect the 30 km/h, an efficient way is to reduce the width of the space and also add obstacles close by. So here we see a good example where it's allowed to park on both sides of the street, leaving only a lane in the middle, which is pretty narrow, and because of obstacles right next to it, drivers will drive slower. So more and more cities and countries around the world are adopting a safe system approach, and they are designing their streets for the purpose and the speed to match. So gradually, we hope that all streets in Europe will have a good design leading to a safe speed in order to avoid fatalities and serious injury on the roads.